Last week, U.S. triathlete Seth Ryder told the media that he had been microdosing E. coli in hopes of being able to swim in the Seine River without getting sick. When asked where he came up with this idea, Ryder said he had developed the strategy after watching the Chicago White Sox because they've been macrodosing playing like shit the entire season. Welcome to the Moonstamp Cast. I'm Jordan. This is the big bad wolf to my little Red Riding Hood, Brian. Brian, how are you?
Doing good, man. How are you?
I'm living. I'm glad to be here on this fine Wednesday recording with you. I say we just... Oh, you... I don't know if you want to go.
They won a game, by the way, yesterday.
Yeah, I saw that. It was unfortunate timing for the joke I come up with 2 days before. So I said,
I still like it.
We're rolling with it. In the words of Bill O'Reilly, fuck it, we'll do it live. But welcome to the Moonstamp Cast. Just let's jump into it. The Astros have won the Silver Boot. Yeah.
Most coveted trophy in Major League Baseball for Texas specifically.
I mean, I would just say in general. At this
regular
point.
Season.
Yeah. It's our own in-season tournament.
Perfect. Let's just get out ahead of it. Let's just get out in front of it.
Okay.
We were fucking wrong. We were wrong
about our boy Kikuchi.
Kikuchi, with 2 starts, has a 3.27 ERA with 19 strikeouts.
I'd like to start the narrative that it's actually because he likes the hot weather.
It might be. I mean, polar opposites, right? Canada to Texas.
Or he likes no state income tax. So, yeah, I don't know how income tax works in Canada, but I imagine it's more than Texas, which is 0. So I like to start that narrative right now, that the reason he's pitching well is not because of anything we said or that we were wrong, but it's more because of environmental factors.
I love it, though. He didn't have to come here and be an ace. Like I said, I was pretty harsh about what we gave up. And Loperfido is doing well for Toronto. Let's not get that wrong. And Bloss was a loss. But Wagner, as love Billy. Hope he makes it to the Hall of Fame. But his son was 26 and 27. Jose Altuve is going to play second base for us for the foreseeable future. That doesn't hurt as much. We seem to be okay in the outfield. I think we still have Myers and McCormick under control for a while. Kyle Tucker is still, hopefully we get his contract. And then left, and Jordan can play left. I don't want him to play very much left, but he can play left. And we've got some minor league prospects. So, it hurts to lose Loperfido, but Kikuchi, man, I'm impressed. I'm impressed. I didn't get to watch the full game today. I got to watch about 45 minutes in the break room. 30 minutes in the break room. But he's impressed me so far, man. I was hand up. I was super critical. I was super negative. Let's write this shit, man.
Yeah, your bitch ass can apologize. I'm gonna create narratives to make sure I'm right. But I didn't get to watch the game today. But I've been happy with his performances so far and how he's been pitching. Maybe it's just a change of scenery. Maybe this is a honeymoon period. Nonetheless, I'm happy, especially, again, beating the Texas Rangers is one of those things that makes me very happy after the 2017 Harvey incident where they made us go to Tampa Bay. Again, the whole reasoning was, well, what about our ticket holders? What about the people who have tickets? Okay, cool. We've had a natural disaster, so maybe there's a bit of a difference.
We could have literally just swapped series as well.
Yeah, I think maybe your ticket holders would understand because again, there was a hurricane that destroyed Houston. But nonetheless, I'm happy to beat them. I'm happy about Kikuchi. I'm once again on the happy Astros train after last night. I was on, actually not last night, but the night before, I was on the sad Astros train. I was kind of on the sad Astros train last night after the blown no, but
yeah. I don't know if you saw, but it looked like Framber shook off Yanier before he threw that pitch that Corey Seager took 440 feet.
Well, it's a no Maldonado then. No one would ever do that to Maldonado. That's a joke.
I guess there's still...
That's a joke. That's a big joke. I shouldn't not saying that for real. That's a Dusty Baker era joke.
There's still trust to be built there. He's a rookie catcher. I guess technically second year, but I believe this is his first full year, so it's his rookie year. As the guy, for sure, it's his first year. It's just trust that has to get built. Maldonado had the respect and trust of every pitcher that he's played with, really, but especially our guys. So it's just going to take some time. I think it'll be okay in the future. Like I said, oh no, he went 9 2/3 and gave up 2 runs. Oh, the horror.
I mean, I also imagine once you're that far into the game, you're going to make decisions based on how you're feeling, the vibes in the moment. So I imagine he kind of went up there and said, hey, this is the vibe I'm feeling with this pitch. I'm 8 2/3 in. I'm basically 1 out away from a no, which would be the second on the season for the Astros, for the record. Very happy about that.
Also, he looked a little bit not happy with his stuff, the batter before. He missed 2 pretty bad pitches that walked the guy. And so I think he was trying to get himself under control, being like, I have to throw a strike. Just so happens that as much as I hate to admit it, a very, very, very good baseball player on the other side decided I'm launching this to outer space.
I mean, guessing of all people I think there's something about anyone who played, who plays for the Rangers, that I don't want to give them the credit they deserve. Especially also, anyone who played on the Dodgers, because we played Corey Seager was on
Seager was on the Dodgers.
He was on the Dodgers in 2017, so I don't want to give him any credit whatsoever. Like he doesn't want to give us credit, probably. But anyone on the Rangers or Dodgers, I don't want to give any credit to. So I'll take it with what it is. But again, I'm kind of back on the Astros won't miss the playoffs train after feeling a little bit about after Kikuchi, hands up. What's that? Those like memes like I'm sorry, Nancy Pelosi for doubting you, or like sorry whoever for doubting you, and checkbox reasons why. I'll send you one, but it's
lost
like,
me.
Okay, cool. But I'm sorry, Jeff Bagwell, for doubting you. I thought you were an idiot. I thought you were a meathead. Your hate of computers made me hate you. So that's kind of where I am. But we're back on the train for a second, hoping the AL West. Again, we're still kind of hoping for the Super Volcano to go off.
Speaking of outer space, real quick, Jordan, past 2 games, 1 was a moonshot, like it wasn't close, and I don't think Garcia even moved. It was so far gone. And then today he hit a laser beam. Just, I don't know, probably 112 miles off the bat, just straight line, right center field, and around those bases, baby. Find your bat.
Yeah.
It was like it was a good amount. It was like 50 at bats between home runs, and then he does it in back-to-back games, which is great. And he's the fastest Astro to ever do it, to ever get to 150 home runs in the least amount of games. And I think he's top 10 all-time across the MLB.
I mean, that's probably why NASA is investigating him right now for invading some airspace, space airface. But yeah, no, Jordan, again, kind of the way the Astros seem to work is that by the time we hit August, they kind of kick into gear all of a sudden after maybe a slump in the summer. And then depending on the postseason, if it's 2019 or, any other year, they'll decide they're going to slump at the wrong time. But here's to hoping. Last week we came on here and said we were down. This week I think we're coming on here and saying we're up. So call us the bipolar buddies.
I have a Yu-Gi-Oh moment of the week, but I'm not going to use it because I did not fact check myself and I don't want to sound stupid. And
no,
we
Brian,
got corrected already.
Brian, this whole first of all, this whole podcast is based on not knowing things. Second off, I didn't know that either. I just stood with you last time, so I don't know how we were supposed.
Sounded good.
It sounded good. It was a good soundbite. We got likes on it, so who cares?
Fuck it. So my Yu-Gi-Oh moment of the week is the Astros seem to be like Yu-Gi versus Pegasus. We're gonna get down big. We're gonna get down quick, and we're gonna look like we're on our fucking last. I think it was like 200 life points, and then we're gonna turn this thing around, baby. This in before next week where we lose 4 in a row and are just sad.
Does this mean the rest of the AL West are incredibly camp billionaires?
I mean, look at what the Rangers spent.
That's true. They're going to go buy an island and, force little kids to come to their island. Because that's exactly what Pegasus did, for the record. That was the entire first season.
I'm going to steal your grandpa's soul so that way you have to play a children's card game in a tournament where the Yu-Gi-Oh rules do not exist.
Pegasus was the first Epstein Island.
Oh, none of this is clipped.
No, I'm gonna have to. I mean, unless we want to go hard in the paint.
No.
No, I'm not. I'm not. I mean, again, this is for our audio listeners only who are crazy enough to come say hello to us. But so that's the Astros. Anything else you want to talk about with them?
Not really. Just stay the course, baby. Stay the course.
Yeah. I mean, again, baseball world seems to be in this kind of moment where we're trying to figure out who's actually going to make the last second playoffs. So that's kind of what August is. But yeah, good for the Astros.
Looking like a fun end of the season, and I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a fun race.
Yeah. I mean, I hope actually it's not a fun race and we just destroy everyone else. That's my hope. But I also, just been spoiled since 2017 with good Astros. With that said, Brian, would you like my Olympics talk of the week?
Yes. Update me.
Okay, so I'm just going to run through like the ones I care about. I care about all of them realistically, but the ones that won't make the podcast too long. Scottie Scheffler won gold in Olympic golf, which I have thoughts on Olympic golf. I think it should be amateur only because it's kind of weird when the podium is 2 Masters winners and Tommy Fleetwood. No offense to Tommy Fleetwood, but he has not won the Masters yet or really any. Also, I learned his wife is 23 years older than him.
Wow.
Yeah. And also his manager. So it sounds, I mean, it's fitting he wins with.
Nice.
Yeah. Nice, buddy. But it's fitting he wins in France with Macron and his wife. So, but I think it was just weird. I mean, to see those kind, because golf in essence is not really ever it's always a singles tournament. So there's really nothing special about this other than it's like the Ryder Cup without teams.
So do you think that if you've won a major or you're part of the PGA or you're part of LIV, you're out?
Yeah. I mean, probably if you have a card to the PGA, I mean, even like, no, I wouldn't say Corn Ferry. Corn Ferry, I think, is too low. But like, if you have a PGA or LIV, or if you're on either of those, it doesn't really make sense for you to go to the Olympics unless we want to like do like a combined LIV versus PGA kind of matchup. But it just kind of, I don't know. Like, I love seeing Scottie Scheffler cry up there, not because I want to see Scottie Scheffler cry, but it was this moment after kind of a year and a half, people saying Scottie Scheffler has no passion, Scottie Scheffler has no personality, where he's now won the Masters again, got a felony drop, had a kid, and then he goes up there and cries, and it's just kind of this fitting moment. It was weird to see that he wins a gold medal when obviously he's, the best golfer in the world. And it was just a tournament. Like, it wasn't anything special. So that's my thought on Olympic golf. It was cool to see Scottie Scheffler win and get a gold so we can rack up those gold medals. The 1,500 meters men's race is an interesting media storyline because I'm imagining this is how every country works. Whenever there's a final and Americans are in the final, NBC only talks about the Americans. Except for this time. There were 2 guys, Ingebrigtsen and Kerr. Ingebrigtsen is Nordic. He's from Norway. Kerr is from Great Britain, which, side note, I don't understand why Great Britain gets to be together in the Olympics, but like in the World Cup, it's the 4 different countries. I don't know. But they made a whole big deal about their storyline because those 2 like genuinely hate each other. But they didn't really talk about they just hate each other. But they don't really talk about the Americans. And then the American hawker came back and won at like kind of the last second. And then what was it? Nagoon? Yeah, Nagoon came in and got the bronze. He only lost silver by 1,000th of a second. So it was interesting to kind of see NBC as the race was happening, realize that they have to talk about the Americans after talking about the other 2 the entire time. Because I think they thought it was the race for bronze. And it turns out Ingebrigtsen didn't get any medal and Kerr got silver. So that's that. Shout out to Amita Lohr. She is the youngest American wrestler to ever get gold. Youngest women. I think she's just youngest in general. Like, she beat Henry Cejudo's record. So she's now 68 kilogram freestyle. Good for her. And Noah Lyles won. Good for him.
Yay.
I hate that stupid ass. World champions of what? Like, okay, buddy. Okay. Whatever. I think it's stupid.
He got a lot of shit from NBA Twitter.
Yeah.
And
rightfully
then he
so.
was just like, hey, gold medal.
Well, okay, so the thing with the gold medal is I don't mean to take away from him. I'm not going to clip this. I don't mean to take away from him. But he got second in his heat, second in the semis, which, by the way, the NBA players were watching, which I thought was funny. And then he only won the gold by 5,000ths of a second, which for the record, still gold. Still gold. Still
Dub's
gold.
dub, man.
Dub is dub. Ball don't fly.
And I'm pretty sure that put us above China.
No, that did not.
Oh.
We only got out in front of China yesterday. And I think it's close today again.
Well, without him getting gold,
we
don't get above China.
Yeah, yes. So again, I'm not going to say I'm upset about it because I like when Americans win. I just hate that stupid ass, world champions of what?
Clip. But he's a Yu-Gi-Oh fan, man.
Yeah, I know. That's what makes me mad. I want to like him so badly, but Noah, the Celtics would destroy everyone in the world. There's a reason they're the world champions. They don't invite them to the champions or the tournament of the clubs because they know they'd win. We send the G League, and we send G League and Ignite, rest in peace. But we sent them, and so whatever. No allows. I'm happy for you, but please refrain from saying that the Celtics aren't world champions. So really, anybody.
Are you saying that if it was similar to the Champions League, where instead of a country gets to send their best players, they have their individual leagues, whoever wins that, they all go to a tournament, and Boston runs through them? Because I completely agree.
Yeah, I mean, I think I wrote a blog about this, and whenever you look up whatever the world, because there's something called the Club World Cup in soccer as well, where whoever wins the Champions League, whoever wins the CONCACAF Champions League, everyone who wins those things, they come together and they play in a tournament. And I don't know, it depends on where it is. It was Saudi Arabia last time, maybe the time before that, but I looked it up for basketball. They don't invite the NBA. The NBA is just not invited because they know what would happen. It would not be a fair tournament. Say what you want about, I don't know, the Celtics' quote unquote easy run to the finals and the finals win. They murder people. They murder them. They're the best team in the NBA. They're the winners of the NBA. They're going to destroy some team from Spain. They're going to make them because the team from Spain is made up of ex-NBA players and players who realized they could never get to the NBA.
They completely dismantled the Mavericks in the finals.
Yeah, no, they did. Yeah, for the record, they did. That quote-unquote thing was because of the fact that people say that, not that I'm saying that. Because they made them look silly.
Injuries are a part of sports. You can't take away from... I joke about the Lakers run in COVID, and no,
I don't.
Still the greatest athletes playing the greatest athletes. Stadiums count or do matter. Home court advantage does happen. Fans are a part of it, but I mean, it's still the best players playing the best players. The only major sports league that I have said is a Mickey Mouse ring is the Dodgers 60-game season, because that's insane. That's 102 less regular season games.
I was going to say, I don't know. I have to bring the same energy to the Lakers I bring to the Dodgers, which is, this isn't a real ring. Again, I've actually come around on LeBron. This is no LeBron hate. This is not really Lakers hate. This is just, if you want, I say that as a Liverpool fan who also won that year. But that's because Liverpool already won by the time COVID happened. They were a game from winning. They were mostly, it was both the earliest and latest of all time. Because the earliest in terms of games, the latest in terms of date, and in terms of winning the Premier League. But yeah, no. So for basketball, if they had the Champions League tournament, or the World Tournament for that, and they just don't invite the NBA because they know what would happen. I can never remember who says it for some reason, but it's I'm closer to LeBron than you are to me. That's just the entire NBA. And so when you go play a team from South America or somewhere in France, they're going to murder them. Because again, the teams from the rest of the world are made up of guys who were either in the NBA or now old, like the Dwight Howards of the world. We have guys like Jimmer Fredette who just were never good enough for the NBA. And if you bring people from the NBA, the NBA proper, they're going to kill them. It's not going to be funny. It's going to be like the 92 Dream Team, where they went in and played teams and were like, oh yeah, it's 112 to 50.
Yeah, like you said, NBA players are 99.99999 percentile of basketball players in the world. The worst NBA player will destroy just about anyone in the world. Will destroy 7 billion other people in the world at basketball.
Yeah, I mean, it's an elite few who, again, can say that they're better than everyone at basketball, because they are. So that's why I think the quote of world champions of what is stupid, because it makes sense, again, from a soccer perspective or like even a world track perspective. I get what they're saying. At the same time, let's put in the proper context. Like baseball, like MLB teams would probably like maybe in one game they could lose, but like in a 3-game, 5-game series, they'd watch the rest of the world.
Hey, we lost to Japan.
Yeah, but that's not fair because when you have Ohtani, that doesn't count. So that's USA versus the rest of the world. I'm saying club teams. So like,
okay, fair enough.
I don't want to give the Rangers props, but like the Astros in 2022 could beat like the like Nippon Heroes or something from South Korea in a like in a 3-game series, and they probably whoop their ass. It's just because it's the best talent in the world. Same with like the NFL, but no one else really plays football.
No one else plays football.
Yeah. So it's just one of those things that there's a reason America is the world champions. It's because, they are the best in the world. Because it's the best league in the world. Because it's realistically the only league in the world that matters. NFL, ready to go?
Yeah, speaking of. Unless you had anything more on the Olympics.
No, I mean, the 2022 team figure skating, USA team figure skating team got their gold today. Because there had been an issue with Beijing and Russian figure skaters, which figure skating in Russia, it's a whole thing. It's very sad because it's very much like it's a one and done system. You get to go to one Olympics. They abuse you for like 4 years. You get to go to one Olympics, and then you're forgotten about forever. And this 15-year-old girl was doing steroids, but again, she's 15 years old, and I imagine the Russian cohort.
Here, take this. Okay.
Yeah, saying, "Hey, take this thing." And so I kind of feel badly for her. But the U.S. did win the gold. So officially we won the gold from Beijing.
USA.
But that's all in the Olympics.
USA.
I mean,
USA.
Again, what's the Biden quote? We're second to no one, something like that. But yeah, so that is the Olympics update. It finishes, I believe, on Saturday. So I'll have one more Olympics update next week. Hopefully Kyle Dake will be a gold medal winner. And that's about all. Yeah. So let's get to the NFL now, Brian.
Okay, where do we want to start? NFC or AFC?
I feel like
both are fun.
Yeah, both are fun. I think NFC is less fun than the AFC. I think AFC has a couple. There's more to that. Okay. So let's do NFC first. We can start with the Vikings if we'd like.
Yeah, I was going to say let's start with the Vikings. Okay. Justin Jefferson is still the best receiver in the league. Let's not forget that, even if he doesn't have a great quarterback throwing to him in J.J. McCarthy. But, hey, it's too early to tell what J.J. McCarthy is going to be in the NFL. We don't know that. And having a weapon like Justin Jefferson is going to help immensely.
I actually don't even think that J.J. McCarthy's starting from everything I read.
No, it's
Sam Darnold. Like they're putting Sam Darnold up first, which I don't really get the idea of drafting like a first-round quarterback like J.J. McCarthy to put in Sam Darnold, who, like, if you had like a Kirk Cousins, even it would make sense. Like, here's a veteran quarterback, kind of teach him some. Kirk Cousins can maybe 6 games or a year, and then he's out. Whereas Sam Darnold's not a guy I look to him like that man can teach. It's like not even the Case Keenum, who's worth it having in the QB room. So I don't get that move, but I agree with you that Justin Jefferson, best in the league, who no matter who is throwing to him, it's a good day.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I don't think he's quite Andre Johnson yet. I mean, I think if he keeps up this career, he's going to pass what Andre Johnson is, which, by the way, first Texans Hall of Famer. Probably the most underrated wide receiver to ever play the game. Or at least most forgotten about, because look at the trash that was throwing it to him for years and years. He had one great year of Matt Schaub.
I was about to say, don't do Matt Schaub like that, buddy.
Matt Schaub had an amazing year, man. But then he followed it up with a horrible season with a game that capped off his career with the Texans with 6 interceptions. Their secondary is depleted via injury and, no jokes here, a very tragic death with Kyrie Jackson, who passed away in I believe it was a car accident. And so, I mean, their secondary is depleted, and it's. I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. I'll start talking so I can do over it.
Give me a second to yell at them.
No, you're good. So what I was going to say was that their secondary may be depleted, but they worked really hard in the offseason in both drafting and just kind of acquisitions in their D-line, their rushing unit. Now, I looked at the stats just to see if I was crazy. They were 20th in sacks last season, but they were 6th in hurries. So they actually had a pretty good D-line there. they're trying to beef it up. It seems they've given up on the secondary and they're just going to go try to sack the quarterback as much as possible. Interesting strategy. I'm still kind of a JJ McCarthy hater, only because I went back and read what I wrote about him right after the national championship game, which was what happened to like national championship quarterbacks who would throw the ball a lot. And I said in there, JJ McCarthy's going to get 1 to 2 GMs fired because they like his style. He worked really well in the Jim Harbaugh system at Michigan. That's because he was doing a lot of dump passes. Like, we can't get mad at Brock Purdy for the way he plays and look at JJ McCarthy and be like, oh, he's good enough to be in the NFL. Brock Purdy, I think, is underrated. I think JJ McCarthy is a little bit overvalued by the Vikings right now. Time will tell. Again, he could be. We should know as Texans fans. CJ Stroud came out, everyone's calling him the dumbest person alive, and now he's like the savior of the entire city. So he could be a great quarterback. At the same time, I'm not going to place any bets on that.
Okay, fair enough. It's hard for me to look at a national championship winning quarterback and say, you're going to be bad in the NFL. Granted, Michigan's defense was stellar. And he had a phenomenal offensive line. He had great weapons and a really good running back. So it's mainly just a wait and see for McCarthy for me. But I can see why people are hesitant and kind of looking at the Vikings like, what are y'all doing?
I do think probably sitting at the beginning of the season, letting Sam go out there and kind of take the brunt of whatever's going to happen will be interesting and probably good for JJ. I say JJ like I know either of them, but it's probably good for him to kind of get the feel of what's going on. And Sam Darnold will come back and say, this is what's happening, play this way.
My last note on the Vikings is I fully expect them to be last in the division.
Oh, yeah, I think everyone does. Speaking of possible last in the division, which I actually don't agree with, but the Bears. And
I don't agree with it either.
But your favorite person of all time, Caleb Williams. I should point out because he went to USC, yeah, not because of the other things.
But he looks to be everything as advertised, and not only that, he looks like he's stepping up in a mature leadership role in the locker room, having no fear of veterans, telling them, "Hey, man, we want to make this a respectable franchise. We're not going to be sitting here trashing our facilities. Clean up after yourselves. Our janitorial staff has enough to do. We are adults. We're grown ass men. Clean your shit up. Don't just leave trash all around just because you're a millionaire and you know someone's going to clean up after you." I don't know, man. Like, USC product, but he's not on USC anymore. So it's not like his success equals USC's success. He's got a shit ton of haters for some reason too. So, like, I understood, Notre Dame fans not loving him, but now that he's out of our lives, like, why? I don't understand it. And there's a lot of people #mad online about him having a bag and painted fingernails and all that stuff. And I'm like, yeah, dude can fucking play though. So who gives a shit? Dennis Rodman wore a wedding dress to sign a contract. And yeah, he caught shit online, but he's a Hall of Famer.
I contended for a second that the reason Caleb Williams gets hate from online is because he's the first natural Gen Z quarterback.
Oh,
and no one the people I'm gonna say Colin Cowherd's of the world, but I actually don't know what Colin Cowherd has ever said about him. But those in your mind, that kind of person, they really hate the act. But he's just acting like a Gen Z person would. It's not that surprising. I know people like him. And it's not because they're trying to act a certain way. That's just who they are.
Well, you're part of Gen Z, so
you are too. I mean,
technically, I'm a millennial.
Okay. I claim Gen Z because I think millennials are the worst generation. Not because I think they're
generation.
lazy. I think they're cringe. That's exactly why. Now, to be cringe is to be free at the same time. It's annoying cringe. It's I love Hamilton cringe. Nonetheless, I think that he got a lot of hate because he was a Gen Z quarterback, and there was a misunderstanding of what that meant. And so you have guys who are 40 years old, sports radio callers saying, I hate this guy because he paints his nails and has a pink phone case. I fucking love pink. I don't know what you, yeah. Yeah, it's not that crazy.
Dude is set up for success.
Yeah.
They brought in Keenan Allen, who is a phenomenal wide receiver, a phenomenal wide receiver one. They brought in DeAndre Swift, who has plenty left on his legs. They beefed off their offensive line. They have a top 5 defense, and with their 9th pick, they drafted Roma Duze.
Yeah.
So you've given him more weapons.
I have in my notes that he doesn't need to be CJ Stroud because they've set him up for success. He doesn't need to be like this guy who just changes the world. He just has to be good enough because they've given him every asset on that offense.
But that's the thing. He doesn't have to be CJ Stroud to be successful. But he has all the potential in the world to do what CJ Stroud did with admittedly better weapons and admittedly a better defense. Now, Texans defense has turned around. Texans talk is another time. The Bears legitimately have a top 5 defense, and they are scary, and they are hungry.
Yeah. They also brought in Montez Sweat on their defense. Because they only had 30 sacks last year, which is surprising to me. But yeah, that whole team is stacked. The more I research this team, the more I become a believer that they could win the division. I don't, again, it's up to Caleb Williams could be a bust. He could. I don't think he will. I'm not predicting it. I don't think it's going to happen. And he's been given literally every asset possible to succeed. So I'm actually excited to watch the Bears team.
It's a good time to buy in on the Bears. It's a great time to buy in on the Bears right now.
Yeah. All right, let's go to their deathly arch rivals, the Packers.
Jordan Love is the guy.
Yeah.
Jordan Love is the guy. Listen, I know it's crazy to pay a quarterback that much money after one real season, but he gave me nothing to think that he's not the guy and doesn't deserve it. That is what the Packers do. They sit their quarterbacks. They say, watch this guy, learn from this guy. You'll be this guy. And they did it with Aaron Rodgers, and look what Aaron Rodgers was. They did it with Jordan Love, and now Jordan Love has his whole career to be similar to what Aaron Rodgers did, a Packer for another 12, 15 years, and he's set up for success. And they're never out of it. The Packers are just one of those teams that no matter what their team looks like, they're never out of it. They just find ways to succeed. And it has to do with culture in the locker room. It has to do with veterans letting rookies know this is how we run things here. This is how it's we always talk about the Patriot way. It's the Packers way.
Yeah.
It's I don't want to say they're exactly the same, but for the longest time, for 20 years, the Patriots were always in it. Since Brett Favre, the Packers have always seemingly been in it, and it doesn't look like it's slowing down with Jordan Love. And I know people aren't the biggest fan of him, but I don't see why not.
I mean, my joke I put on my notes is death, taxes, and a Green Bay quarterback being good. That just seems to be their natural position. He is the Lovecraftian horror that to Bears fans and basically all of the NFC North. I believe in him. He threw for more than 4,000 yards, which again, no Bear quarterback has ever done, which still is insane to me. He threw a ton. I don't know if he has the best receiver corps, but he did great with it. And there's nothing to say that he won't do it this season, especially with Christian Watson back.
Well, I think Jordan Reed, who's only 24, I think Jordan Reed is going to have a breakout season. I think he's going to be the number one, and I think he's going to eclipse 1,000 yards. I think he'll have 7-8 touchdowns. I think Jordan Reed is going to have a breakout season. The biggest thing that I see, which is a good problem to have for the Packers offensively, is what the fuck do you do with your running backs? How are you going to do that? You drafted a running back in Marshawn Lloyd. You brought in Josh Jacobs, and A.J. Dillon is still around. A.J. Dillon is a tank of a man. Josh Jacobs gets his touches and does work with them. I'm excited to see Marshawn Lloyd as well. Do they just have a 3-headed monster? Do they give A.J. Dillon more your short yardage? We got the other two to pick up first and second down. Or if it's a long third, we'll bring in those. I don't know what they're going to do with it, but it should be exciting. Their offensive line isn't horrible. I think they're top 12. So it's not like these running backs are going to get murdered. But it's a good problem to have.
Two quick things. One, I think they're going to do like a triumvirate council of the running backs where you have Josh Jacobs kind of play maybe the more natural running back role. Marshawn Lloyd kind of coming in as the learner, which again, they do extremely well. And then A.J. Dillon coming in as kind of the tank almost to get what you were talking about, those third downs, it's kind of short runs. That's probably the best option they have. On defense, they're killer on defense. They've drafted well on defense. They brought in well on defense. They have I think I saw they have, I don't know what number, but they have a very easy early schedule. And so I imagine it's going to everyone's going to gain confidence there. Packers maybe the sleeper pick for the NFC North.
I don't disagree. The only thing with that is I believe they brought in a new DC, and so it's a new scheme with a lot of their old faces. Mm-hmm. So let's see if they can adjust. If they can adjust well and fit into this scheme and have fly around and do their jobs, I think they're going to be fine. But there's always growing pains. So, but they don't with this. This is the thing. That's just like I said. It's the Packard way. They're never out of it. They're set up for success. I still think it's the next team that we're going to talk about division to win. Mm-hmm. But you wouldn't have to color me surprised if the Packers end up winning this division. Yeah,
I think, again, they might not even be a sleeper pick. They might be my pick. I don't know. Let's talk about the Detroit Lions. And Dan Campbell might be the best players coach in the entire league. I don't even think that's close. Like D'Amico Ryan's good players coach. This guy is the kind of guy who every player on that team has bought into him. Like this is my guy. I believe in him.
Well, I'd say we've done that for D'Amico as well, but Dan Campbell, I still would put it. It seems like it's not only his team though. It seems like other teams, players on other teams are like, damn, I would love to play with that guy. I would love to play for that guy. I would run through a brick wall for that guy.
Yeah, I mean, we both go suit up right now. I haven't played football since middle school. You haven't since high school. I go suit up for that guy right now. I love Dan Campbell. They did a lot in the offseason. The question is, Jared Goff in general. I like Jared Goff. I think some people are low on Jared Goff. Do you not like Jared Goff?
No, I was going to say he's always slept on.
Yeah, okay, good. I like Jared Goff. I think I'm a believer in Jared Goff. I don't know if he has, the best receiver core. He has Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's clearly...
that's a top 5 receiver to me, man. That's a top 5 receiver in this league to me.
No, I was going to say that. He's one of the best receivers in the league. But the rest, I'm not sure if they're up to that. I looked up. Yeah, Josh. They have so they had the 2022 draft. Jameson Williams is going to probably have to step up this year. It's time to see if he can do it.
Don't forget about Sam Laporta.
I think Amon-Ra. I'm going to not say his full name. By the way, he sounds like an Egyptian god card to me. I've always thought that, but I can't say that to anyone else other than you because they won't get the joke. But yeah, St. Brown, I think he's probably top 5 in the league. He's going to help carry this team. I like the team. I think they've really done a lot in the offseason. David Montgomery's still there. It's their division to lose. I think everyone will say that.
First, don't forget about Sam Laporta. He's an amazing tight end. He had a breakout season last year, and I think he's only going to get better this year. I think he's going to probably finish as a top 5, top 5 receiving tight end. I don't know what his blocking looks like. I haven't studied him that much in the run game. But speaking of their run game, they have Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. Last year, Montgomery started as the guy, but Gibbs started coming along, and I think this is going to be Gibbs' coming out party, but Montgomery's going to get his fair share of touches too. I think it's going to be Gibbs is the number 1 with a decent sized leash, but if he misses a couple blocking assignments, fumbles a couple times, they're not going to be distraught because they can be like, hey man, not your game. We're going to put Montgomery in for a lot of it. You collect yourself, rest up, get those legs ready because we're going to put you in later, which is once again a good problem to have with multiple running backs that you can trust.
Yeah. It's a division to lose. I think we all agree on that. I will not give you my hot take on what tight ends have done to this league and what they've become because of a certain tight end who doesn't block. But yeah, I'm excited. The NFC North is one of those really exciting ones. That literally, I think there are 3 viable options to win.
Yeah. Last thing I have on the lines is their pass rush and their run stopping ability. Their box essentially is phenomenal. Their secondary scares me a little bit. They look like they will not be the team to rush against, but quarterbacks and wide receivers will have a big day off against them. But hey, overs, because I love their offense. Their secondary scares me. It sounds like there's going to be a lot of hypothetical overs for me to take.
They picked up 4 cornerbacks this offseason. So here's to hoping they can pick it up because they weren't great last season. So here's to hoping this season in terms of quarterbacks, in terms of that. But here's to hoping that the 4 picks, I think they drafted like 3 of them. So here's to hoping it works out. But we'll see. Again, that's just time will tell. But 3 viable options. My sleeper pick is the Bears. My other sleeper pick is the Packers. Packers over Bears. But, it's Detroit's to lose. Let's go to the AFC North. Brian, who do you want to start with? Because every team here is interesting to me.
Steelers.
Okay.
Start with the Steelers.
Okay. I Russell Wilson, from what I've seen and what I've been told by journalists who report there, as in I've looked them up, he's looking great in minicamp. He's probably starting over Justin Fields. Justin Fields' experiment hasn't come to an end. We'll see. I worry about him in general because I don't know if he can bounce back from what happened in Denver. So that was a rough 2 years. That was a rough 2 years.
He didn't have a great ending in Seattle either. No.
He's been like kind of so he left Seattle on whatever terms he left on. He went to Denver to with the thing with Nathaniel Hackett was he was kind of pitched as he was the quarterback whisperer. Like he was the guy who made Aaron Rodgers. And then he went there and Nathaniel Hackett wasn't a great head coach as it was. Denver sucked. And then Sean Payne came in, clearly hated Russell Wilson from the beginning. And was actively trying to get him. You remember Bounty Gate? I almost wonder if there was Bounty Gate 2 where it was
2.0.
Offensive line just back up. And so my worry with Russell Wilson is that he's kind of been demoralized. Apparently he looks great. I like Russell Wilson. He seems like a nice guy. He seems like a great guy. Is he 35, something like that? I don't know.
He's not young.
He's not young. He's an old guy at this point. The biggest question for the Steelers, at least in offense to me, is can Russell Wilson still do it? Yeah, he's 35. Can Russell Wilson still do it? I know he's starting week 1 over Justin Fields. The thing with Pittsburgh is that death taxes in Pittsburgh making the playoffs because they just always do. A winning record as well. And their defense looks phenomenal, as always. TJ Watt. I have a list of people, but TJ Watt, Conrad Hayward, Patrick Queen. I think their defense will be the shining point. We'll wait and see what happens with the offense.
Minka Fitzpatrick, I think, too, unless they moved on from him.
Minka Fitzpatrick, Deshaun Elliott, Patrick Queen.
Mike Tomlin. Mm-hmm. He keeps on teasing that this is the last. I feel like there's been a discussion for the last 3 years. This is the year he's out. If I'm being honest, I think. Oh man, this is gonna get me murdered. I think this might be the year that the Steelers, for the first time in their franchise history, take last place in their division.
Yeah, that's.
And I think if that happens, I think Tomlin's out. But their defense is. Their defense is phenomenal, and this is similar to the Packers, similar to the Cowboys. This is just a team that always seems to get it done, to do enough to give themselves a shot. I agree with you about the Russell Wilson thing, but I don't know. Russell Wilson starting week 1 is what I agree with. I think by the end of the year they're gonna. I think Russell Wilson is what he was in Denver. I think it's going to be Justin Fields' team by week. I'm going to say 12. They're going to do a quarterback change to try and turn it around, try and make a playoff push, and I think they'll do enough, make the playoffs, and then it'll be the same song and dance next year. It feels like the Steelers have been in a perpetual rebuild for the past 3 or 4 years, where they just do enough to not declare hey, we need to fucking ship everyone out of town. We need a complete rebuild, but they're not what they were in the, mid 2010s.
I don't know. I don't think I was going to say I don't think Tomlin's that good of a coach, but actually that's wrong. I don't want to say that. I think he just hasn't been given any assets, and I think he plays maybe a little too conservatively at times. With that said, this might be the end of Russell Wilson. With that, that's my I don't know if it's a bold prediction even. I think that's just a prediction nonetheless. With that
this is his last shot for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I don't again, we've heard from minicamp and such that he's been doing really well. At the same time, he's a 35-year-old quarterback who with the last 2 years have failed. I don't know how much longer he's staying in the league.
The crazy part about the Steelers is for me, the most fucked up part about this division is that they hate each other so much. And the Steelers are just the team in the league that gets up to play their division better than anyone else.
Mm-hmm. I mean, again,
it would not surprise me. It would surprise me, but it wouldn't be the biggest shock in the world if they somehow fucked around and won enough to A, get a wild card spot, B, win the division. That's how competitive this division is. That's how good. To me, this is the best division in football. And it definitely helps when you have, in my opinion, the best defensive lineman and maybe the best defensive player in TJ Watt.
Yeah. Which hopefully can make it through the season this year. We speak your name. But I mean, I that's a hoping. Okay, Browns. Let's go to the Browns next. I am always going to be down on the Browns only because of Deshaun being there. When I say that as someone who really liked Deshaun at one point in his life, because he was a great quarterback in Houston. You know, yada, 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 so on and so on. We're here now. You have Jerry Jeudy there now, which I think was a great pickup on their part, especially if you want Deshaun to look like Houston Deshaun, give him a good receiver like that, and he's going to look like Houston Deshaun. You have Nick Chubb. I mean, last year they had the fewest yards allowed in the NFL on defense. They had a horrible red zone defense, but the fewest yards allowed on defense. They have a strong defense. I think the biggest question going to the season. Go ahead.
Which is crazy. Their defense was so bad in the red zone, but good overall. So it was instead of bend, don't break, it was break, don't bend.
Yeah. So I looked it up. They had the worst red zone defense 71% of the time. If a team entered the red zone, they scored on the Browns, which is like apparently like, I don't know. I need to go look at their run defense or pass defense in the red zone. The red zone sucks. But they have a strong defense. So let's see if they can fix that up. The biggest question is, can Deshaun be Houston Deshaun? And, well, I hope he is not because, you know, it's Deshaun Watson. Who knows?
I've got another reason. Besides our hatred for Deshaun Watson, I've got another reason why I want Deshaun to be shit. Because that means he gets benched. And then the most entertaining, most fun player in the recent NFL years, for me at least, I love this man, would get to go in and launch nukes, and that's Jameis Winston. That man either throws 70-yard nukes or pick sixes. So as an overs lover, that is the best case scenario. And the NFL is more fun. The NFL is more fun with Jameis Winston doing Jameis Winston things. And his receiving core, if they might trade for Brandon Ayuk. So his receiving core, his three receivers might be Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy, Brandon Ayuk. And if you put Jameis Winston back there and just say, fuck it, launch it,
just run.
Oh my God, it would be so much fun. Oh, it's all I want. It's all I want this year outside of Texans success. You eliminate anything I want from the Texans. All I want is for Deshaun Watson decides that he has found God and he has decided to join a church and has retired from the NFL. And they're like, fuck, Jameis, you have to play. You know, this was after the first game. You've got 16 games. And Jameis just goes, bet, and throws for 500 yards a game. 4 touchdowns a game, 7 interceptions a game, and I would love every fucking second. Those numbers would be never happen, but oh my God, that would be the most. I love Jameis Winston, man. He is just so fucking fun. Only person to have a 30-30 season, 30 touchdown passes, 30 interceptions, and it was a pick six. I think on one of the last plays of his career in the Buccaneers. Oh, just give me Jameis Winston. Give me all of Jameis Winston, especially with such a stacked receiving core. Plus, I mentioned the 3 receivers. Don't forget Njoku. Great offensive line, and Chubb is a good pass-catching back and likes to run the ball. So best case scenario for me, sorry to just take over and just rant. Best case scenario for me is Jameis Winston takes over, and I just get to sit there and watch the Browns. Oh my God, I would watch so much Browns. I would sit down and watch Browns tape, dude, just to watch Jameis Winston. I love that man as a player. Oh my God, it's so fun.
I think it's more likely actually Deshaun gets taken out with the feds and he finds God. But with that said, Jameis Winston is the embodiment of backyard football. It's, hey, I'm going to chuck it. It's like the George Bush watches drive moment where it's like, I'm going to throw this thing as far as possible and we're just going to see what happens. And that's like, they may call me like a caveman brain or whatever, but that's the most fun football. Just seeing so like a guy just chuck it. Like you want a gunslinger up there to throw the ball as far as possible. The guy who's running like 15, 20 miles an hour down the field. That's what I love. And if Deshaun, you know, gets sent to whatever prison he gets sent to, I will love to watch the Browns. Until then, you know, not as much. But yes, I'm excited to watch the Browns if that happens.
Last note for me for the Browns. Never forget about Myles Garrett. I did say TJ Watt is the best defensive player and defensive lineman in the league for me. Myles Garrett's probably number 2, at worst number 3. Myles Garrett is a monster of a man. He's a freak athlete, and he will literally take the helmet off of people. I meant like hit him so hard, but also I guess that one time with Mason Rudolph.
I thought
that was just a lapse of judgment by an otherwise good man.
No. I mean, he's a good man who just sometimes you have to hitch someone with your. It's like a home intruder. Same because we have the Castle Doctrine in Texas. They have the Myles Garrett Doctrine in Ohio, Cleveland, Ohio. Yeah, Ohio. So good for them. Let's do Bengals next because Ravens are last. Let's do Bengals next. We didn't talk about Joe Burrow last week, so we need to talk about him extra this week, I think, to make up for the fact we didn't have a Burrowing second of the week. But, okay, he has Jamar Chase. He has T. Higgins. Burrow.
Hold on.
Oh, no. Joe Burrow might go off. I want Joe Burrow to go off. The problem is their secondary sucked in 2023 by a lot. 6 yards per play and then 7 passing yards per attempt is horrible news. They didn't really improve that much over the offseason. They brought in Geno Stone and they have re-signed Von Bell. I don't know if that's enough. I don't think that's enough. I want to believe in Joe Burrow because I do believe in Joe Burrow, but I don't know if I believe in the Bengals, which is very different.
Well, yeah, that's the first note I have is health of Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
And the second note I have is offensive line looks good on paper. They brought in a lot of middle tier, like upper middle tier offensive linemen compared to the shit show that's been the past couple of years. Because there's been a lot left to there's been a lot left to desire. Is that the phrase? From their offensive line. Joe Burrow's gotten killed in his career since entering the NFL. So their success primarily hinges on Joe Burrow health. And Jamar Chase, real quick. Last year, 1,200 yards, 7 touchdowns. A lot of that wasn't with Burrow. This year, I think he could do 1,500 yards, 12 touchdowns. Having an all-time season. Because he's that talented. Joe Burrow is that talented. Completely depends on the health of Joe Burrow. Completely depends on how the offensive line treats Joe Burrow.
I have to be so back as of it was 2 weeks ago. I'm so back on the Joe Burrow train. So I can't even imagine a scenario when he gets hurt just because I can't do that right now. But yeah, I believe in Joe Burrow. I don't believe in the Bengals is what I'm saying. The O-line looks good as well. I believe in Joe Burrow. Don't believe in the Bengals. I think everyone's picking for a wild card spot. I don't know. And
they are one of the biggest question marks in the NFL to me. Absolutely.
They could either kill it or they could be horrible. And I mean, there's no moderate success to them. It seems like it's usually it's going to be do or die at this point.
Last note I have is primarily fantasy relevant. They brought in Zach Moss to kind of replace Joe Mixon. Because Joe Mixon is now in Houston. Zach Moss. A lot of potential there. Feel like I just don't know. This is going to be a wait and see. I don't even want to have a take on it.
For fantasy, at least, I have Jermaine Burton. I have him down as like a possible fantasy pickup, maybe like a late rounder, someone who could do well for you. Don't know. Again, it depends on who is their quarterback, and Joe Burrow can stay healthy. We are 56 minutes. Let's get to the Ravens real quickly.
Then I still got to do my bets, and then we'll go.
Oh yeah. Do your bets. Huh?
No. We'll do Ravens first.
Okay. AFC North, Ravens. I'm Lamar. Call me Lamar Lover 69. I love Lamar. Entering week 18 last year, they had won 10 of 11 of their last games. They're a killer. They brought in Derrick Henry. Their O-line looks questionable. If there's one quarterback in the league I believe can do it without an O-line, it's Lamar Jackson. I believe in Lamar Jackson. Their defense actually looks shaky as well. They also lost their DC. They promoted internally. Who knows if that'll work? I believe in Lamar. I don't think he can do it in the playoffs. I think he just can't do it in the playoffs. That's what he's shown historically. I don't know. It's kind of like the Bengals. I believe in Lamar. I believe in their offense. I don't know if I actually believe in their defense right now. It's a wait and see situation to see how that probably first 4 or 5 games to see how their new DC lines everything up.
Lamar Jackson is my non-biased early pick for MVP. He'll do it back to back, in my opinion. Obviously, my biased pick is CJ Stroud. He's set up for success. We're not talking about CJ Stroud. Lamar Jackson is my early non-biased MVP pick. He's getting better and better every season. He still has the legs. His arm is getting better. His reads are getting better. He's becoming a better quarterback every year, and he's really etching himself into the top 5, where people can't contest it very much anymore. Zay Flowers, he's going to be his number 1. I'd put him as a top 10 wide receiver in the league. He's phenomenal. He's great. He's got great yards after catch. Big thing that's going to matter a lot to their passing game, though, is Mark Andrews' health. Mark Andrews has to stay healthy. He's a phenomenal tight end when he's healthy. But health concerns, if he's not there, Lamar did not look nearly as good as a passer because he opens things up, and he's another weapon for that defenses have to deal with. Speaking of weapons, though, Derrick Henry, listen, they went away from it last year during the playoffs. They were pounding the rock. They were actually kind of beating the Chiefs with pounding the rock. They went away with it. Now they have the guy to pound the rock with. The power back of the league, in my opinion. Fucking feed him. Feed him. If you notice that he's getting 4 yards a carry, 5 yards a carry, just feed him. In the postseason. In the regular season, you have to keep him healthy, have to keep him fresh for that he can help you guys finally get over the hump. I mean, I guess not finally. They won a Super Bowl with Joe Flacco, but it's been a while.
God King Joe Flacco. Let me say that. Highest paid in the league at one point, Joe Flacco.
Hey, no, I love Joe Flacco. He's just another fun quarterback. He's just another air raid fun quarterback. But keep Derrick Henry healthy, get him to the playoffs, and pound the rock. Lamar can do it, but he needs a stable running game, and Derrick Henry brings that to the table.
Quickly,
these are my favorites to win the division. While defensively a little shaky, I have extreme bias towards Kyle Hamilton, Notre Dame product. Love him. Probably is a top 3 safety in the league. Tall boy, hit boy. Love him.
Someone mentioned Derrick Henry is a future Hall of Famer, which is correct. I just never thought about it. So yeah, he definitely is.
That's crazy.
But that's yeah, I know. I remember watching him in Alabama. So crazy stuff. With that said, that is Brian. You want to do your hypothetical picks real quickly before we get out of here?
I'll run down them real quick. Lions Giants. Lions plus 3.5. Panthers Patriots under 33.5. Falcons Dolphins over 38.5. Texans Steelers over 37.5. Eagles Ravens under 34.5. Commanders Jets under 34.5. Bears Bills minus 1.5. Raiders Vikings under 39. Packers Browns over 39.5. Chiefs Jaguars Chiefs plus 2.5. Buccaneers Bengals over 38.5. 49ers Titans 49ers plus 4. Seahawks Chargers plus 1.5. Saints Cardinals under 38. Broncos Colts under 38. Cowboys Rams over 35. These are all preseason picks. These picks mean fucking nothing. This is just for fun, so that I can officially put it on record and see how I do. We'll come back and I'll do a quick little read them off again last week and just tell you the record how I did. Preseason is such a clusterfuck, but that's why I took a lot more unders than I would normally take. But we'll see how it goes. Jordan, thank you so much for joining me for episode 5.
Yeah, we made it more than a month. Good for us.
Seems that while we are taking while we are making them longer, we're also putting out way more information. I feel like there's a lot more dead air / a lot more stammering or can't get thoughts out from episode 1. Rest in peace. But we continue to grow. And Jordan, if you want to release tell us about the information of the competition we entered.
Oh yeah, shit. We got to do that. So if you go to anywhere on our social media, it will be in the link you see. It's the Moonstamp link page. We're in a competition for ESPN 97.5 here in Houston. It's just the first round. We'd appreciate if you would go to view the video. By the way, view is 30 seconds. So that's what a view counts on YouTube. I looked it up. And like the video as well. So view and like, most views and likes get through the second, or top 2 get through to the second round. We'd appreciate if you could go view that for a second. If not, that's fine. But we just appreciate if that would help us out a lot as we're in this competition for exposure. With that said, we are at 1 hour and 2 minutes. This is the longest we've ever done. Brian, where can the people find you?
At Oric Polaris across all social medias, and especially twitch.tv/Oric Polaris.
Who is, today we're releasing this on Thursday, so Friday you'll be having to stream, correct?
Yes, I'm doing a drunk stream with my buddy Christian and my buddy Neil. Christian is buying me a game. This is a surprise. I have no idea what it's going to be. They're going to have rules set. They're going to have a game picked out. It's completely random for me. We're going to find out, and I'm going to get shit-faced drunk playing a video game.
Perfect. All right. Find me at the Moonstamp Sports. That's where I post everything I do. Thank you so much for listening. Brian, thank you for joining me. Thank you for everyone who listened to this far. But yeah, have a good week, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.